In this video, we're going to continue to do conversions from one unit to the next. Let's read the following problem. As part of an annual physical exam, Brent's weight was found to be 145 pounds. What would Brent's weight be in kilograms? How about in grams? Similar to what we saw in the previous video, when we're doing this conversion, we need to write specifically what is the measurement given. In this case is 145 pounds. And we need to convert this to kilograms. Additionally, the problem tells us that we need to figure out how to take this amount and change it into grams. So we have 145 pounds. And we need to change it into grams. To do the first problem, we have a specific conversion factor that gives us the relationship between pounds and kilograms. We can see it right here. So using dimensional analysis, as we learned in the previous video, we're going to write the amount given, which is 145 pounds. And then we're going to basically turn that equality into a fraction in which the side of the equality that matches the unit given is written in the bottom of the fraction. And on the top of the fraction, we're going to write what the equality equals to. So in this case, when we're converting from pounds to kilograms, what we need to be doing is writing the part of the equality that has the pound sign or the pound unit. So that means that in the bottom, I'm going to write 2.20 pounds. On the top of the fraction, I'm going to write 1 kilogram because that's what 2.20 pounds equals to. So when I take my calculator and I do 145 and I divide it by 2.20, I observe that my calculator display shows me the values 65.9090, so on and so forth. But because my equality does not determine what are the number of significant figures in my final answer, I must utilize the measurement given. 145 has 3 sig figs. That means that the calculator display needs to be rounded to 3 significant figures. So that means that based on the numbers that I have, my final answer is 65.9 kilograms. Let me just cancel the units for pounds because we always have unit cancellation diagonally. So 145 pounds equals 65.9 kilograms. Let's now do the conversion between pounds and grams. To set up this dimensional analysis, I'm going to write 145 pounds as the unit given. And then I'm going to utilize the following equality to do the conversion between pounds and grams. Here, I can observe that the unit of pound matches this side of my equality. So in the bottom of the fraction, I'm going to write 1 pound. On the top, I'm going to write what it equals to, 454 grams. Let me cancel the units. Pounds and pounds cancel. That means that the standing unit of measurement is grams, which is what is needed. So if I take 145 and I multiply it by 454, I can see that my calculator display at first shows me the digits 65830, meaning 65,830. What determines what is my final answer is going to be specifically, let me just write it down, the number of sig figs that we have here. So let me just write the calculator display, which is 65830. So when I take this value and I have to show it with the correct number of sig figs, I'm going to round to 3 significant figures. That means that the final answer here is 65800 grams. In this unit conversion practice problem, the problem reads the following way. A patient receives 3.50 pints of blood during a transfusion treatment. We need to calculate how much blood the patient received in milliliters and in gallons. So let's write down what the question wants us to convert. We are going to be converting 3.50 pints. PT is the abbreviation for pints, and we need to convert it to milliliters. And also we need to take that same amount, 3.50 pints, and convert it to gallons. Okay. Now, when it comes to the relationship between pints and milliliters, as we see some of the equalities that are already written, meaning the conversion factors that I already included in the problem, we can observe how specifically this is going to relate already the pints to the milliliters. So let's set up our dimensional analysis. 3.50 pints. Let's turn that equality into a fraction. In the bottom part of the fraction, I'm going to write 1 pint. In the top of it, 473 milliliters. The units of pints cancel. And then when I do this multiplication, 3.50 times 473, I have a calculator display that is 1655.5. But this calculator display does not have the correct number of significant figures. The measurement given has 3 sig figs. So I need to make sure that I round to 3 sig figs. And if I round this value to 3 sig figs, my final answer will be 1660 milliliters. Next, we also have to take 3.50 pints and change it into the unit of gallon. And when we look at the equalities that are in these conversion factors, we cannot detect one that will take us directly from pints to gallons. But we actually have 2 different equalities that can take us there, because we can first convert from pint to quarts, and then we can change from quarts to gallons. So what this means is that in this type of problem specifically, we are going to use two conversion factors to accomplish this. And how we set that up in dimensional analysis is going to be very similar to what we have done so far. Let me illustrate how we write it down. We first are going to write the amount given, 3.50 pints. We're going to use our first equality conversion factor that will take us from pints to quarts. So in the bottom of my equality, I'm going to write 2 pints. And on top of it, I'm going to write 1 quart. Because this is the first equality that is needed in order to accomplish the problem. Next, after we do this, basically, if I only do this step, I'm just taking it from pints to quarts. So if I set up another ratio, another fraction, in which I now write the relationship between quarts and gallons, meaning that 4 quarts equals 1 gallon, that means that in this case, the unit of quarts will cancel. And then my standing unit will be gallons, which is the desired unit in the problem. How I enter this in the calculator is that I'm going to write or type in the calculator 3.50 times 1 times 1 divided by the multiplication of these two numbers, meaning dividing it by 8. That's going to be what I use to enter in the calculator to get my answer. So if I do 3.5 times 1 and I divide it by 8, which is the result of 2 times 4, I see a calculator display that it is specifically 0.4375 gallons. And as I mentioned, throughout us doing these problems, what determines the number of significant figures in the final answer is going to be the numbers that we have in the given measurement. And remember, essentially because we're multiplying and dividing, that's why I'm focusing in significant figures. This has 3 sig figs, so I'm going to take this number and I'm going to round it to 3 significant figures. So my final answer for this problem is going to be 0.438 gallons. Is what's present specifically in 3.50 pints.